All right, guys. So good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever it is for you. If you're watching this, as always, we want to start off with the vision of our growth groups, the what, why, and how. So what are you expected to do? Lead your growth group. Hopefully you know these 3 Ps already, to be praying. And what we mean by lead is by praying, preparing, and practicing. So again, if you don't know what those mean, look at previous videos. Hopefully you got that down. Remember, you are to show up to growth group to lead it, not to get something out of it, although I hope you get something out of it. Not to be served, although I hope you get served, but the goal for you, you've got to come with the expectation, okay, I am here to just pour out myself to other people, not to be poured into, although hopefully that will happen to some degree. But again, don't leave thinking, well, I didn't get anything out of that. Again, that's not the point. The point is for you to be pouring everything you have out to these people in your group. So be thinking that, have that intentional pray, prepare, practice, pray, prepare, practice. Please, please, please. Why do all that? Why suffer that way? Because more than anything, we want to be like Jesus. But also intentionally, while we're doing the goal we're hoping to see is to see people grow with God and also to grow with other people, right? So we want to grow with God in respect to salvation. Paul even says that at one point, says grow in respect to salvation, right? Because salvation is something that has happened, that is happening, and that will happen. It's this weird enigma all happening at the same time. So yeah, God help us to grow. Like, you should not be a 15-year-old still in diapers. So people need to grow and learn that the Bible's not all about them, that God's not all about them. Matter of fact, life is not all about you, right? So they need to know that. But then also, in doing that, they need to be growing with people, right? I mean, think of it this way, that the 4 broken relationships from the fall are intertwined, right? It's not like one's broken and one's fixed. No, they're symbiotic, right? You can't really grow and connect with God if you're not growing and connecting with people. They're very much so intertwined. Think about that, meditate it. But that's our goal. That's why you're going to do all this stuff to do that, okay? How do we go about doing that? By constantly, creatively, excellently remembering, thinking, obsessing, discovering about the gospel and about our God. What the gospel about saying, when I say the gospel and God, I mean gospel, what has God done? What is he going to do? What is he currently doing right now? How can we think about him, meditate on him, learn, obsess about him? And then as we do that, after we do that, as a matter of fact, then we react. Okay, God, since you've done all of this for me and you will do all of this for me, you treat me this way. You've loved me. You're so patient. You're so graceful. Now, how should I react? Thank you, God, for your mission. We understand we're not saved just by God's mission, which is great. We got to worship that. But we're also saved for God's mission, right? Without the missional part, I was thinking about this today, it's kind of like a car with no wheels. It can have a great engine. It can look fantastic, be great. But a car is meant to go and to drive. And a Christian is not just meant to think and meditate on God and remember him. Okay, that's a huge, it makes the whole car, right? But the wheels that have movement, that fulfill the mission for which you were created, is to react accordingly. And without that, you're just a car sitting on cinder blocks. It's nice to look at, sure, but it's not fulfilling its purpose, its mission. Okay, and that's why we study the mission of God, so we can learn that as well. Hopefully that all makes sense to you. Hopefully you know that. Let's jump into this week. This week we're into lesson 41, the divided kingdom, part 4, talking about Jonah. So again, we always say, think about it, episode 41, not just lesson. It seems like a teacher kind of a thing. Think of it, episode 41, that we are here to tell a story, just like a TV show or a movie, really like a TV show, right? How can we tell the story of his glory? How can we draw people back to that? What is the story? We're on episode 41 of CLC's version of how to tell that story, right? So today our main takeaway is to know God, always to know God and to enjoy God deeper by studying the book of Jonah. But also to, again, because this is a big word for us, again, we see a constant pattern here, the misguided, the non-repentant state of the northern kingdom, Israel, when it came to God's mission. Okay, they just were misguided. They thought God's mission was just for them, which it is. It's not incorrect, but it became very incorrect because it only was just for them. They forgot about God's mission to all nations, right? They were always and only cat people. What can God do for me? Not what can I do for his glory? I am saved for my safety, for my comfort, for my people. And that's what the book of Jonah shows us again, which is rampant all over the northern kingdom. So there's always 3 points here to start off your lesson. So again, this is just for you up here, but for you, when you're starting your lesson, start right here. Preamble. Okay, so you're just kind of talking, hanging out, and say, okay, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Let's come on and sit down. As I said, hey, welcome. So glad you guys are here. As always, we want to encourage you to do pre-study, this is the pre-study here for Jonah. Please, if you're not getting our email for that, let me know. We can add you to that after the lesson today. And again, remind them, you can say the 4 C's for all pre-studies this semester. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm pretty confident I'm going to do, is all of the pre-studies all year long are going to look exactly the same. I'm just going to change the title and the word Jonah to whatever we're discussing, and I'll change the SNL focus for the week. So yeah, okay, God. Whatever text we're getting into on your own, you can go through the 4 C's: the content, context, Christocentric, and cat or dog, and going through that. So that's a great way to study. We're trying to infuse that into all of our lessons somehow. The first 2 lessons were kind of simple, trying to get the idea, and then now we're going to start trying to get a little bit creative. You'll see here in a little bit, but really encourage them. Hey guys, man, this is a great way to study the Bible. And again, we are repeatedly, the way that we remember is by repetition. Think about how you remember songs. Sometimes you get ahead. The other day, I'm 31 years old. I got a song in my head from when I was like 15 the other day. It stuck in my head. I couldn't get it out. I was like, golly, how that song get in there? Because I repeatedly listened to it over and over and over again, and it just came back. Something triggered it, and it came back. So for us, we want to repeatedly go through these 4 steps of how to read the Bible. What happened before it, this the part of the story, what's going to happen in the future about it with Christ, and then how do I choose to apply this purely as a cat or both or as a dog? Those are the 4 questions we're trying to ask. So we're trying to drip this in every single week. Encourage your people to do it. I encourage you, honestly, you want to prepare for your lesson. Yeah, watch this video, look at this, but you got to be doing this. As a growth group leader, if you're not doing these 4 C's for the verses that we're going over, you're not really preparing yourself at all. You're not being a good leader. Please repent and do differently. So again, help them see that, encourage them to do that as well. Then I always want to remind them, hey guys, listen, let's not forget our goals. We have 2 goals. The reason why we're doing this 3-year process, walking through the Bible, is for 2 reasons. One, we want to learn, we want to talk about God's mission and not of our own. We don't want to study the Bible as if it's all about us and what we need to do, like an ancient form of Google. We want to look at it as a love story, but all about Him and how we can learn about Him and what He's done, is doing, and will do, right? And the second thing we're trying to do is that we want to beg Him in prayer for wisdom for how can we collectively, how can we join Him in His mission. So we want to study, learn, talk, discuss about His mission, and then we want to pray and ask for wisdom. God, how can we join? So we want to remember and we want to react is a simple way of saying it. We want to remember Him and we want to react accordingly. We want to remember that we were saved by His mission, but also react because we're saved for His mission, right? So those are the 2 things we're going to do. We're not going to hit everything. We're not going to go do every little bitty thing in the Bible. We're really just trying to focus on the main point, which is God, and then our call to join Him. God, please help us to do that, right? So there you go. There's the pre-study, and then as always, this is like the third time we've done this. Third time now we've done this. We want to have a little historical background sheet. Sets up the lesson. I think this last, we're here on Thursday, February 4th, when I'm recording this lesson. And I think Jesse Thornson's the only one who posted on CCB. If you guys like having the historical background separate like this or involved in here in the lesson, I don't know. So until I hear different, I'm going to keep it like this. So if you don't like it like this, let me know, okay? So again, at this point, I would have somebody else read this. You do not need to be reading this as the leader every week. I would have somebody different read. I mean, maybe say, hey, listen, there's 10 of us here. So, all of us going to take a time just reading through this and remembering some stuff here, but also setting it for the lesson. So there it is right there. You can read it. It took me 2 minutes. I read this just now and timed it. It took me 2 minutes. This paragraph's the same. That paragraph's the same. But then all of this is different right here just for Jonah explicitly. Well, actually, this part right here is all the same. Let's just change the order. So really all of this right here is actually set up for Jonah. But again, we don't want to set up Jonah outside of the biblical context, right? Context. Okay, we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we're getting the picture of what's been going on again. So again, every week you need to be having somebody read this. Or if you have to read it, sure, but you don't have to. Just ask somebody else. Hey, okay, would you mind reading our historical background of Jonah? Then here, it's simply just read it to the group. If you have a TV, you can throw something up on the TV so everybody can see it. That's the best. If you want to mail this out to everybody so they can see it, you can do all that kind of stuff. So there you go. Make sure you take time and you do that. Cool. Any questions, let me know. Now let's jump in to our lesson today, and let's see what we're going to be doing. I'm a little excited about this lesson. This could be a fun lesson. I'm going to try to get to somebody's group so I can see how this goes. So starting the lesson. So what you're going to see here, again, this is for you, okay? We're going to look content, context, Christocentric, cat, and dog. So we're the same 4 things, but now we're spicing it up a little creativity here with the content. So instead of saying, okay, guys, what happened in the story? We're going to tell you what happened by doing this little activity here today. So something a little new. So there you go. So after this lesson, by the way, is your service project. So kind of want to have a fun thing that, the past 2 lessons have been split up in small groups and do the 4 C's. And then those with Elijah. And Elisha last week was ponder by yourself the 4 C's, then come back and talk as a group. So hopefully this is similar, but you get a little bit of difference. So what you need to do, first thing you need to do right here, number one, split your growth group into two, what we're calling classes, quote unquote classes. Okay, so two groups, two classes, two teams, fine. Okay, then number two here, each class becomes the teacher of the other, right? Their sole responsibility as quote unquote teachers is to come up with a test that the other class has to take. So if you have two teams, right, I hope that makes sense. Okay, give both teams, both classes, give them about 10 minutes to create the test and then have them switch. Okay, so class A, they have 10 minutes, they come up with the test questions, and then after 10 minutes, they switch. So 10 minutes, you have a whole lot of time, let's go, and vice versa, right? And then they exchange them. I'd give about 10 to 15 minutes to take the test that the other class created. Okay, so after about 10 minutes, kind of see where everybody's at. Again, you're kind of walking around, helping people out, laugh. Another thing, too, we need to be doing more is take some pictures, guys. I always forget to mention that, but take some pictures and email them to me so I can post them on CCB, on Facebook or different things. We have them on our websites for our growth group ministry. So take some pictures on your phone, good quality pictures, and send this to me. So while they're doing this, take some pictures, let them go through and go to that, okay? And then after they've taken their test. Again, I would not go past 15 minutes. Even if they're not answering, like, hey, guys, you got 1 minute to start randomly answering because you can't go past that because you need to do everything else, okay? Then have them hand back their test to their teacher, to the other class, and have the other class grade them, right? So, again, I guess that would make sense that the other class need to come with an answer sheet. I didn't put that in there. So as your class, right, writes the test for the group, you also need to create an answer key. So after 10, 15 minutes is up, they do it, they pass it back to their teacher, switch their test back, then the teacher needs to grade them, okay? Class with the highest score, quote unquote, wins for the day. If there's a tie, then there's a see the tiebreaker question below, okay, which is down here, number 4. So number 3, basic rules for the test creating process, okay? You can only have 10 questions. Can't have any more or any less. Gotta have 10, I guess I should say, gotta have exactly 10 questions, okay? B, you gotta use only the following type of questions, right? So multiple choice, which give them their 4 choices, right? Fill in the blank, true or false, or matching. Absolutely no essays. Come on, you kidding me? No short answers, none of that kind of crap. That's the devil, okay? The best tests, I think, have a variety of questions, in my opinion. So you can make it all multiple choice, all fill in the blank, all true, false, all matching. Sure, you can do that. Up to you. I would encourage a variety of things just to make it look creative. Even in here, as they're doing these things, if there's 4 people, or let's say 5 people, in my group, each of us do 2 questions. Okay, so you do 2 questions, you do 2 questions, split it up so you have time, and then kind of go back over and double check each other, make sure you're not asking the same question, or you can go through it all together as one big group, whatever you want to do. Just realize you only got 10, 15 minutes for 10 questions, so you got like a minute per question, right? So again, no essays, no short answer, no thing where they have to write long stuff, just something they can write and fill in the blank, has to be like 1 word or 2, right? True or false, matching, something they can answer quickly, right? C here, leniency will be given for translations issues. Don't be a jerk, right? If the answer is Jonah cried, but their translation says Jonah wept, come on, don't be like that. Understand what's going on. D, all questions and answers must be found in the book of Jonah, okay? So no New Testament references when Jesus talks about the sign of Jonah or that kind of stuff. Has to all be in the book of Jonah in those 4 chapters. You cannot go outside of that, okay? All questions must be reference to the English language. What I mean by that is no questions about Hebrew language or customs that American who speaks English would have no chance to know. So don't say, what is, in chapter 2, verse 1, Jonah uses the Hebrew word, bachameh. What does the word bachameh mean? Yada, yada. So don't do that. That's messed up, okay? F, make them answer the questions with their Bible closed. So you switch the questions, say, hey, no Bibles, no internet, no phone, no tablet, no computer, no nothing, just you and your group, okay? And I would split them across the room, that kind of stuff, so they have space to do that, or different rooms if you have that ability, okay? But no internet, nothing, just their minds and what they know about the book of Jonah, okay? If that gets too hard, after like maybe say 5, 10 minutes or so maybe, then let them use only the 4 chapters of Jonah to answer the thing. But still, no internet, no maps in the book of the Bible. Come on, guys, be honest. Just we're trying to gauge what you know collectively as a group, okay? So there you go, doing that. Summary, here's just an easy thing to say. Guys, make the questions as hard as possible, but don't make them impossible. Nobody's going to have memorized what is the 3rd word in the 2nd chapter. Nobody's going to know that. Go over this. Hey, guys, come on, don't be a jerk, okay? Don't do that. Again, make it hard, but don't make it impossible, okay? The different things like that, okay? If they have a tiebreaker, if say there's 10 questions, they get 5 right, 5 wrong, both of them, they get to 50, right? There's a tiebreaker. So the way it goes is first person anywhere that can give the growth group leader the correct answer wins, okay? But you have to close your Bible, okay? You cannot use an open Bible unless after a while they have we have no clue, okay? Then you can let them open their Bible, which is what I have down here, okay? So again, here's a question. How many people did God say live in Nineveh in the last verse of the book? Okay. Now, if they know anything about that, they'll say 120,000. Okay. It depends on how much you want to be a jerk. Okay. Because the actual answer is, God says there are more than 120,000. Okay. So even if no one says 120,000, let them look in their Bible. First one that gets it wins. Okay. So, that's the type of question. So if you say how many, nobody has a clue, not even 120,000. If somebody says 120,000 and nobody else says anything else, then I'd probably give it to that person who's 120,000 kudos. But then I would go and go back and look. Actually, says more than, right? Okay, but you're close enough. We'll give that to you. That's what I would do. But it depends how much of a jerk do you want to be. So there you go. That's it. Once I get done with that, after winner is declared. So again, now this is taken, right? You got to explain all this stuff. Which take 5-10 minutes. You do your preamble, it takes a few minutes. You have to let them create the test 10 minutes, do the test 10-15 minutes, right? So now you only got maybe 10-20 minutes left really quickly. So after winner declared as a group, quickly, keyword there, let me underline it, quickly go through the rest of the 4 C's. Okay, really watch your time here because you don't need to spend an hour and a half doing this. You really need to keep this, we say here, to about 45 minutes to an hour. Try not to go past an hour. That's just not good form, okay? So again, here's the questions in a different form. Again, to add some context. So just off the top of their head, looking back, how does this story fit into the story of the Bible? What trends or patterns is the story repeating, promises of fulfilling from previous scripture, right? So again, looking backward, I'd say what trends is it repeating or not repeating is how much Israel sucks at being a kingdom of priests, right? Again, Jonah is a great example. He's racist. He doesn't want other nations to know God and to be blessed. I mean, look at his message: 4 days and nights, and then Nineveh will be destroyed. And it's the worst sermon ever. The whole freaking city has a revival, which is awesome, by the way. But you see, again, his reluctancy. He runs away. He preaches. He whines at the end. He does not want the other nations to know God and repent. He wants God. He cares. His identity is more as an Israelite, not as God. He's more interested in his glory and his kingdom's glory, not in his king's glory, not in God's glory, right? So that's a huge trend. This is what happened with the Garden of Eden. They didn't care about what God said, do all these things. Israel's supposed to be fulfilling their vow to do this, but they're not. That would be a big trend I would hit. And again, there's a lot of things you could pull out of this. I would just try to pull 1 or 2 and then move on really quickly. Crystal Century, guys, looking forward to this. Looking forward to the story of the Bible. Where or how do you see Jesus in the gospel shown or represented or metaphorically spoken to in this book, right? You have 3 days in the fish's mouth, and then he came back out. So and again, the best one I think is, right, the people on the ship. They're on the ship. The only way they survive is by throwing by throwing Jonah into the sea, right? And the sea is a metaphor all over the Bible for hell and for death. So the people on the boat, their salvation came by throwing somebody into death, right? In the same way that our salvation came by Jesus voluntarily throwing himself. It was just like Jonah, right? Jonah voluntarily threw himself into death, right? Jonah, at the end of the story, Jonah went out of the city gates and stood up on the hill and spoke bad and hated on this city. Jesus in Hebrews 13 says, and even the Bible says that he went outside of the city gates and was crucified. So Jonah went outside the city gates and griped and complained about the people in the city. Jesus went outside the city gates, but instead gave his life. Jonah wanted to die because he hated the city. Jesus did die because he loved the city, right? Big difference there as you come at anti-type. So there's 2 things right there. Maybe there's some other things you can find as well. So cat and dog, this is the application question. Okay, guys, you choose to read this cat and dog. How do you apply this like a cat and dog? Ask yourself, what do I need specifically to remember about God and the gospel from this story? Okay, how do we choose to do it? Okay, now what do I specifically need to think about what I need to be doing different? Maybe that's there, but again, you'll do better You'll do better as you enjoy deeper. Okay, if you're just focusing on you doing better, you are your self-salvation. Now, you do need to do better. So if you're not doing better, that's an indication, right? But again, it needs to be an indication, right? That should be, it's not a requirement for with you and God. It's a reaction. It's a fruit of that happening as well. So again, enjoy deeper. What do we need to enjoy deeper about God? What do you specifically think about your week? Think about all that's going on for you. What are you prone to fall into this week? What idols trip up for you? What distractions are there for you? What do you remember about God? Maybe you remember that God, he's just worthy of my time. Instead of watching TV, I should just be reading my Bible more. Because God's just worthy. He's just worthy of it. Maybe you remember that. Okay, remember that he's worthy. And that leads you to know what you should be doing. But as you enjoy him more, that informs what you should be doing. Don't try to do so that he'll enjoy you, right? And then pray. Pray the lesson. Pray that you'll do better as you enjoy deeper. Remind that God, help us. Help us to enjoy you deeper. Because we want to honor you. We want to do better. Those types of things, okay? Once you're done with that, again, back here, as we remember, as we think, meditate, study, obsess on the gospel, what is an appropriate reaction, our thoughts, our desires, our actions, our feelings to it? As we think about the gospel, remember what's be a good reaction. So then there's the three things. Again, the first two lessons, Elijah and Elisha, we focused on SNL local with orphans. How can we be involved in orphan care? What can we begin to do? Can we pray, give, go? What should we do? Okay, last week with... with the recapping in Elijah, we talked about orphan care. Last week with Elisha, and this week with Jonah, we're staying focused on human trafficking, sex trafficking in the greater Houston area. What can I do? Can I pray? Should I talk to Holly? Some of you growth group leaders are involved in exchange. How can I get involved in that? What can I do? I need to reach out to Holly. Or I need to pray. Or I need to fast. God, again, the big thing here is how. And again, let me remind you guys, I think I say this every time, but these three reactionary prayers, people you know who are hurting, people who don't know the mission of God yet, or people who don't know the mission of God, when you do these things, like literally write down in this blank, and then take this paper home and put it on your fridge, put it on your bathroom mirror, put it in your car steering wheel, something, and make sure that you are doing whatever God tells you to do. So God, you're asking God, like literally in your growth group, let's take a minute, let's take 5 minutes. God, what should we do? How can we join your missions? Should I pray? Should I invite? So get a name down, and then what you're going to do, how you're going to join, and do that for all three, and then don't forget it this week. And again, maybe you just need to, maybe as you're going through, it's like, gosh, I'm really burdened for somebody here. Just really focus on that. I'm really burdened after right now we're doing the SNL sermon series in the end of January. Gosh, I'm really just concerned about this. I really got to fight for this. How can I do that? Okay, spend some time, guys. Don't just fly through this. This is such a huge part of us. Again, this is like the car without the wheels. This is the wheels that gets us moving and doing what we're supposed to be doing, right? And then, of course, always end your growth group by praying for those inside of your growth group. Again, yes, pray for their needs. Yes, do that. But man, you may even ask, hey, who has a financial need? Who has a social need? Who has a time need? Who has a just whatever need? How can we sacrificially serve and love one another so that people see us as a city, right? Because on a hill, you don't hide that. They see us as a city and they say, man, this is how these people act. God, their God must be true. There must be something true about who they are. Because look at how they treat one another, right? That's what that verse means. That's what Jesus means. That's what we're called to be as a church. Not just individuals who are being salt and light, but maybe we as a group. I mean, it's a good idea too. Maybe think, hey, as a group, maybe we need to focus on one person that somebody knows, or a group of people who are hurting, whatever it might be. It might be these people who are hurting, right? Whatever it might be, make sure you're spending time really, really doing this well. Don't be just all about the lesson and not about joining, right? Remember, you're saved by his mission, but for his mission, okay? Get after it, guys. I'm so proud of you again. Thank you for sacrificing to serve. Thank you for not just telling your group what Jesus is like, but showing them, okay? And they may not see, right? But you see, and your Father in heaven sees that you're taking time to pray, to prepare, to practice this stuff, and to really, really do the best you can with growth groups. And I'm just believing for great things this week with Jonah and what you're doing. Let me know. Again, please post, how did this work? Was this a stupid assignment? Did they get into this? Maybe I have a prize for the team that wins or something. I don't know. But just tell me, how did it go? Give me feedback. Because, again, I'm sitting here in my office on Thursday at 5:30 p.m., judging this all up in my head. Hopefully it works, and it works well for you guys. Let me know if it doesn't, so I don't ever do it again. But if hey, this was a great one, then I can repeat it, okay? Or, hey, this would have been really good if you just would have done that. Please, guys, give me that feedback. I live for it in one way, not in the idle way, but it's really helpful for me. Please do. Again, more than anything, guys, remember this. Okay, successful growth group is not measured by the growth of your attenders, but by your growth. Are you as a leader growing? Is your passion for God and his mission, is it growing to any degree, right? Not perfectly, but are you willingly changing and doing things different? Work on your heart. Don't get depressed if your group's not getting it. But don't be prideful if you think your group is getting it. It's all about you and how great you are. Humble yourself. Be confident in who you are, though, all at the same time. The gospel's doing that. So grow in that, grow in that, grow in that. As you grow in your passion, so will your group as well. You've got to make sure you've got that. Make sure you're leading out of passion, not just out of a promise to do this, okay? Love you guys. You're awesome. As always, let me know if anything I can do for you. Have a great evening, day, morning, whatever it is for you. Peace out.